suggest to you that even more than mercy, more than evangelism, more than teaching, more than discipleship, more than preaching, more than missions, prayer is the work, y'all. Prayer is the job. Prayer is our primary ministry.
You have to go back, 25 years at least, if not 30, to when we first left the pastorate in the U.S. and came to Berlin. And we came with our stuff and our children and our degrees and our training and our library, literally in boxes, and lots of certificates that said we were competent to do what we came to do, which was church plant in East Germany, in East Berlin. And we were here maybe about 6 weeks and found ourselves absolutely on our faces before God going, what do we do? And if you don't show up in power, this was the stupidest thing we ever decided to do.
Very close to that, then, we started experiencing spiritual realm in ways that we had not been accustomed to. We started experiencing demonic manifestations on a regular basis that we hadn't been trained for. We did not have demonization 101 in seminary. And so now we were on our knees. Lord, what do we do? How do we handle this? And we started getting our hands on everything we could read and learn to pray in this kind of context. The church that the Lord led us to and the partnership that we worked with, here was a congregation that was practiced in prayer. The elders met weekly because they prayed first, and sometimes for hours at a time. We saw it modeled what God was doing through prayer in that congregation. What it led us to is that prayer is not the thing that we do before we go do ministry. Prayer is the ministry, is foundational to everything that we do. We had a growing sense that one of the reasons God had called us here was to pray for the city, and that even if we accomplished anything else, it was going to be the prayer and the focus on prayer for the city. Lloyd Kim, our coordinator for Mission to the World, asked Tammie and I if we would be willing to work with our organization worldwide. How does prayer become more foundational to what we do? How do we, as an organization, become a people that are first about seeking God and asking Him to move and release His power to accomplish what He has desired to accomplish among the nations? Each culture has its plus sides and its downsides, and usually our downsides are in the area of our strength. And one of the strengths of the American culture is that we are make it happen people. We get out there and we do it. We work hard, we use creativity. The downside of that in a spiritual context is that it begins to become too easy to rely on our efforts rather than the work of God and the move of the Spirit. We all are aware that if God doesn't move and God doesn't do this, we're not going to get anywhere. Nothing's going to happen. We can put all the effort into it. If God doesn't show up, so to speak, this is not going to go anywhere. And the question is, how is God designed how He wants to work? And we're convinced from the scriptures that the way God has designed it is that He calls us to pray and ask, your kingdom come. Well, His kingdom is coming. It will come. It will be fully realized someday, and yet we are to ask for it. And when we ask for it, it begins to happen. And without the asking, it won't.
I would say I'm a big fan of Oswald Chambers' statement that prayer doesn't fit us for greater work. That is not its purpose. Prayer is the greater work.